there were a lot of Desi guys who would also get involved in this, So to have an upper advantage on them, I would drop Hindi words. Turns on and I see Bohemia rapping in Punjabi. Bro, my head exploded. I used to fail Hindi all the time back home. I had to drop out of school so I can take care of my brothers so they can go to school. So we can afford a roof, we can have food on our table.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the SabbyBG Show, India's #1 entertainment show from outside of India. Now this is a very special segment, season 1 of Pardesi Babu, a unique segment where we highlight a Desi celebrity from Pardes. आज का Pardesi Babu is a very special person. A Toronto-based English rapper, one of the first ones to mix Hindi and English from T-Dot. For those of you that do not know, T-Dot means again Toronto. Okay, I'm not making this up. इस इंसान के songs में है दम. ये rapper किसी से ना है कम. One and the only one, my brother from another mother, but from the same city, from the same town. मेरे दोस्त MILI SOCH, how are you doing, man?
Yes, sir. How you doing? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I am doing fantastic. Well, thank you for asking me, and thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with us. I know you're a very busy man. You have albums coming up, you have new songs coming up, and I see you on Instagram all the time putting new stuff out there. So I know how busy and occupied you are. So still taking the time out, 30 minutes, 40 minutes for us, it's a big thing, and thank you so much. I want to know, Millie, this whole time, this whole pandemic time, the lockdown time, I know that you've been keeping, very busy. But at the same time, why don't you tell me, give me a little idea on what all you've been doing in the last 6 to 8 months?
6 to 8 months, I've been actually focusing on my new album that's dropping soon. And even the way it even started, like the whole pandemic thing, was not really. It didn't really affect me like it affected most people. I really took advantage of this time to focus within. And that also started with me going to therapy about a year ago, around the same time, where I was suffering from a lot of depression, anxiety. And once I went to my therapist and I spoke to my therapist, she was the one that said, you actually have a gift. Obviously I spoke about my craft and, how it's affecting me because the depression is affecting me so much, how it's affecting the craft. And she was the one that suggested that I should look into art therapy, and she said that you have this gift already. Why don't you transmute this? All this pain that you have in you, transmute it in this art that you have a gift with. And that's how I even started writing. So something I wrote without even thinking that I'm going to release. Honestly, I didn't think I'm going to release any songs. I didn't even write it as songs. I just wrote it as something that's been hurting me for so long within. And that's how the album Johari Window even came about. That's the name of the album. It's dropping November 20th. So as I kept writing, that's when I started understanding. The more I start finding myself as a human being, I kept finding myself as an artist. And I started disconnecting myself a lot with a lot of the other work that I put out because I felt like it wasn't 100% me. And I'm not talking 100% about my entire story. Of course, the last album was segments of myself. However, I felt like I was chasing more commercial. You know what I mean? I was talking about subjects that didn't really help anybody. My intention and motives this time around with this album is completely different. And so that's what I was up to. And during the quarantine as well, my mindset was in so much that I had to change for the better. I had to change for the better of other human beings and myself, first of all. That I was asking for change so much. So I was doing things, everything that I did before that wasn't good for me, I stopped doing. Everything that is good for me, that it's hard to do, I kept pursuing. Whether it's waking up early at 4 a.m., whether it's trying to go for jogs or getting some kind of exercise in, or taking cold showers to reduce the inflammation that when I deal with chronic pain, for instance. So when the pandemic hit, I just submerged more into myself. I started meditating more. I started stretching more. I started exercising more. I took self care into another level. I really started taking care more of my skin, my hair, my mental state. And to me personally, I know a lot of people have suffered from this, and my condolences to anyone that has lost a loved one through because of the pandemic. However, I would be lying if I said it wasn't a blessing in disguise for me. So that's what I was up to for the last 6 to 8 months.
No, that's amazing, man, and I can definitely say that you're glowing up. I'm gonna come back to your music. I do want to talk to you about your music again in detail. But I know that I've met you last year at the Sapna event in Toronto. But for my audience, please introduce yourself one more time. My friend, tell us a little bit about the beginnings of MILI SOCH, your journey. How did you start and what inspired you to be in music?
So growing up in Scarborough, Toronto, and going to high school, just you know, I grew up around hip hop culture. You know what I mean? And I was really inspired by the clothing, the lingo, the music, of course. And in high school, there were a lot of kids that would freestyle, and I wanted to take part in it because I still am an introvert. I don't talk too much unless I have something to say, and I'm more of I observe more. And in high school, I wanted to, right away, I got so intrigued by just freestyling and rhyming words and telling a story that I would always go and write. So even in class, I would just write stuff and just memorize it so I can go and in lunchtime and after school with the guys drop freestyles. And then I started realizing there were a lot of Desi guys who would also get involved in this. So to have an upper advantage on them, I would drop Hindi words, and this would create a reaction among the Desi guys. Obviously, the other dudes who are not Desis wouldn't know what I'm saying, but just that's what I wanted. I wanted that reaction. And that was my initial start to even um, have any kind of interest in writing hip hop. Again, I never took it seriously. I never thought I was going to do this. But I remember we went to India as a family, me and my family, back in 2005. And my brother woke me up one day. He's like, yo, get up, get up, get up. Some guy is doing Desi hip hop. And no one was doing this. No one ever heard of this. There wasn't even a term called Desi hip hop back then. And this is MTV India. So he turns on and I see Bohemia rapping in Punjabi. Bro, my head exploded. I thought for the first time, I was like, hey, this can work. This can actually be a career for, look, this guy's doing it. He's on MTV India. That's when I actually took my craft seriously. Since then, I started writing more. I started sharpening my pen game. I started noticing other Desi hip hop acts, and that's what actually drove me towards hip hop.
So would you say Bohemia was sort of like one of the people that really inspired you to sort of start doing rap, or to sort of like figure out that this is my calling, or it started even much before that?
I believe the call started way before that, just because to have an intuition to use Hindi or Urdu words in the rap, just words. And then to have an idea that, hey, maybe I should use actual lines instead of just words. And I already had started doing that. What Bohemia did for me was actually open my eyes to say that, this is a possibility. This could be a career. This is something that I could take to my parents and say, hey, this is what I'm pursuing. I know you guys want me to be the typical, I don't know, lawyer, engineer, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, since a kid, I'm dyslexic. So I had issues reading. I had issues learning the conventional way. However, there were certain teachers who could teach me, whether it was math, science, whatever it was that I didn't understand in school, they would teach me the way because they knew I was dyslexic. But back then, nobody knew what it was. I always got compared to my cousins who would bring 99%, But when it came to the arts, I always flourished in the arts. You know what I mean? Because it's not compartmentalized, and I'm pretty sure you can relate to this because creatives always like this, are like this. We're not box. It's hard to put us in a box. You know what I mean? And once hip hop, I found that I could write, and I'm so into it. That was my calling, because this time around, nobody could tell I'm dyslexic. Nobody could say, that I'm dumb or stupid in any sort of way. That I had no, I had no control over these things. I would study hard, bro. I would study hard, put my entire effort, focus, go to tuitions. मेरे घर वाले ट्यूशन भेजते थे मुझे. You know what I mean? Not all subjects, just for Hindi. I used to fail Hindi all the time back home. All the time. It's crazy that I make Hindi music now. You know what I mean? I used to fail it every time.
Yeah. So I want to touch on that as well now a little bit. We understand you were not good at Hindi growing up as a subject. But tell us about you incorporating Hindi into your music as well. Because see, you're not an Indian guy with an Indian accent. I mean, you have a pretty Canadian Americanized accent. So you could have just done what maybe someone like Jay Sean does, some of the other artists does. Why did you think about incorporating some of the Hindi Urdu words into your, and mixing it with English? Like, do you want it just to be separate, or do you feel this is who you are?
So it's both. It's both. I did want to separate myself from the masses that are already doing it, my counterparts, as well as I wanted people to know where I'm from. You know what I mean? Me being born Indian is not my choice. However, it is a human experience which I am going to proudly wear on myself. You know what I mean? That's why, yes, there's a lot of people that would say, bro, that wasn't a Hindi word that you used. That's a Urdu word, right? Yes, it might be an Urdu word, but I am from Toronto, where my friends are Bangladeshis, Pakistanis, Nepalis, Indians. So when I indulge with them, when we hang around, we're not pointing out and saying, yo, you're this, you're that. We're all Canadians here. You know what I mean? And hence, Desi hip hop. You get what I'm saying? When I was in India, there were people that would say, I would be like, yeah, man, we're doing Desi hip hop. When I was there in 2018, a few rappers over there would be like, we don't do Desi hip hop, we do Indian hip hop, right? It's hard for me to connect with that. You know what I mean? Hence, I say I do Hinglish based on where I'm born, right? And I am Indian. You get what I'm saying? And yes, there is some kind of pride behind it, only for the simple fact that it's a human experience. You know what I mean? And that's why I do Hinglish.
Amazing. एक बात मेरे को यार मिली सोच ब्रो आपसे पूछनी थी, right? I've been listening to your songs not just when you sent me your upcoming album that we're going to talk about in a second, but I've been really enjoying some of your songs from previously as well. When we did a little chat at the Sapna event, and I came across your music, and I was like, wow, this guy's doing something that's so different, so unique, and I like it. I enjoy his kind of music. So I want to ask you this question, which is, you're a music man. All the songs I listen to, they seems like either you are narrating your own story or someone else's story, but every song has a powerful yet unique story. So I wanna ask you a question कि इन songs की inspiration कहाँ से आती है? या आपकी life से आती है, या you actually see other things happening? Where is the inspiration coming from?
So initially, when I started doing it, hip hop is based around storytelling. Hip hop is based around what have you been through, or somebody close to you, what have they been through. A lot of people get called out in American hip hop, if you may. If you start talking about things you haven't been, things that you're not about, or things you have not experienced, or without even having a fundamental basis to it. I'll expand on that a little bit more. With Johari Window, the album, is when I started understanding that everything comes from within, and my intuition is what I have to listen to. So yes, from Higher Soch, the first album, there are things that always spoke about, that always represented me, and it was it's still my stories, But this time around, it felt like I had to be more specific. Tell the audience things that they do not know about me, And my inspiration also really comes from trying to be genuine as possible. one thing I know that when I started doing music, I thought I had to be somebody. I thought I had to be somebody else. Today I have the understanding that I am me. And this is it won't get any more unique than this. You know what I mean? I have to be comfortable in my own skin. I have to, and only then I will have the focus. Now my intention truly is, if you listen to my Johari Window album that's going to come out, it really comes from how can I really help somebody else? Because music had helped me a lot when my parents got divorced. Um, I had to drop out of school so I can take care of my brothers so they can go to school, so we can afford a roof, we can have food on our table. Um, and I was really ashamed of things like that because it hurt me, so much that emotionally I was crippled for years. For years I was crippled. Music was my only outlet. So maybe even without knowing it from the first album, um, Higher Soch, I think it was me releasing, tapping into art therapy without even knowing it, you know? But with Johari Window, thank God, I, with intention, said this is art therapy. I'm going to talk about everything that makes me, me. You know what I mean? And truly, I believe inspiration comes from anything. You know, I might look at, like, for you, for example, you know, everything that you have switched up from SabbyBG to SabbyBG doing these interviews ever since COVID, and you just thinking outside the box. Okay, COVID hit. I can't be on the streets like I used to. How do I switch this, right? That is inspiration to me. That right there, bro, it's giving me goosebumps right now. You know why? Because you, यार आपका नियत ना आपका एकदम pure था वो. You know what I mean? And I can look at it and I can feed off of it. You know, I can feed off of it. I can be like, yo, SabbyBG will inspire me in certain ways. Just like he included these elements in his craft. How can I take subtle teachings from him, for example, right?
Definitely, it's both ways, man. Thank you.
You know, I use this with everything, bro. Anything I love, just like I used to hate cooking, right? I never even knew understood cooking. Now when I cook, I add the exact elements of music, okay? If you ask me to make the same dish twice, I cannot. However, I make the most tastiest dishes that I even surprise myself. You know what I mean? I start thinking, yaar, kisne banaya? Maine khud banaya. You know what I mean? That's how I look at music. And my understanding is I can draw inspiration, especially now, because it's more intentional, it's with purpose, it's with drive, it's with intention. You know, mera niyat na, it's never been so pure. You know what I mean? And thank you for doing what you do, because when I see real creatives, bro, I love that shit, bro. I love it because I can feed off of it. You know what I mean? We might not know each other so personally, but this makes it personal. When I see the subscribe there blinking, when I see the guitar there, when I see your mic, all this you did intentionally. It was there with purpose. You know what I mean? I feed off of that. And thank you for that. Every creative out there, thank you very much. If I ever come across your work and it inspired me, thank you, because this is what the world is about. We feed off each other, positive energy, and that's what we creatives do. No matter how much pain we might have within us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, you know, whatever you're just saying, I think it also has to do with the fact that you are, and I'm not making this up, from the very first time I met you, to the fact that if I have to ask you a question, I mean, we've been texting each other on WhatsApp and whatnot. So it also comes from you just being a very humble person. And I've noticed that. I've spoken to a lot of people who are also artists like you, but you're just a very humble person. And thank you for obviously appreciating, you know, what I'm doing as well. I want to ask you a question. But before that, we do now know that you have certain interest in cooking. So I know that when the lockdown's over, the next episode that we're going to do with you will be cooking with MILI Soch, where you're going to cook a special dish for us again. You may never be able to cook it again, because as you said, you know, you just don't know what the recipe is, but, you know, we would want you to surprise us with whatever you cook that day for us, but we'll definitely be doing that episode. Awesome. We're going to hold you accountable for that. I want to ask you a question. One of my favorite songs that you've done is Demons, that you released during the pandemic time. We already talked to you about what you did during the pandemic and how you've been keeping yourself busy. But I want to ask you this question. Where did the inspiration of that song come from? But because it's a very deep song. And Just touch a little bit on that song itself. Like, how did it come up into the outside world?
We all of us, all human beings, we all live with demons. We all live with skeletons in our closet. You know what I mean? Uh, Before, I always, based on my experiences, like I said, when my parents got divorced, I was really young, and they weren't in the country. They were in India, and they got divorced, and I wasn't expecting that. We were supposed to come. They were supposed to come back, and I made certain choices in life because of lack of guidance in my adolescent years that made me those choices obviously held me back in certain ways. For the longest time, I felt very vulnerable. I felt like I couldn't talk about these experiences because people would judge me for them. But today, I am not that guy. I am not that guy today. I can look back and be like, hey, I have come so far. I've come so far, and now I can talk about my experiences so someone else doesn't feel the same way. I don't want anybody else to feel like, yo, मैंने ये किया पहले और यार इसमें मैंने क्या कर दिया यार, and you feel that guilt and you drain that energy. Um, and that's how it started. Again, going back to my therapist, she was the one that suggested that, hey, again, use art therapy, anything that you feel within. So when I shared these experiences with her, I didn't even know I felt like this, and there's so many more stories so many more things that I have done that I'm not proud of that are going to come out in other songs, just so I can point at myself and मैं वो नहीं हूँ, you know what I mean? वो था मैं, लेकिन आज नहीं हूँ. If I can bring my old self back into existence, bro, I would really punch him in the face. मुक्का मारूंगा मैं उसे, you know what I mean? But I can't. The only thing I can do is point at myself and be like, yo, these are the things I did. So having that experience and making those choices, my younger brothers started hitting the streets as well and started making those choices. One of my brothers was actually arrested because of credit card scams, doing a lot of fake checks, and getting involved in stuff like that, which I introduced to him. So obviously there's a lot of guilt behind that. I literally had to do fraud again in order to get my brother out on bail. You know what I mean? Like, because I had no money. But what else can I do? Either I get caught and go to jail and be with him, right? Then it leaves my youngest brother alone here. But I still had to take that chance because I couldn't have my brother sitting in jail. I had to do anything I can. So I did what I had to do. And I got him out. But I was still I felt so guilty about it. That's why in the song I say, Upar wale mujhe karte maaf. I say that I know this ye kaam tha haram, but without your guidance, I wouldn't be able to do it. You know what I mean? And so that's just one story. If you look at Demons, the second verse of Demons, I'm talking about something that hurt me so much because I thought I killed somebody, bro. I thought I was for the longest time that I was the cause of somebody else's death, bro. That burden, I could still feel it till today. I could feel it right now because it's so true. You know what I mean? It hurt me so much that I didn't know what to do other than make a song and put it in my song and show people, yo, I did this. It hurts me. I still live with this guilt, And to just briefly touch on the subject, my ex-girlfriend, her father, he was in the Afghan army, so he was Afghan. He got shot in his spine, and he was paralyzed. So he would smoke a lot of weed to help him with his pain. And this, we're talking, years ago when weed wasn't legalized. Again, I apologize. I'm getting a little emotional here, but this is where it comes from. So I used to always get him the highest grade stuff for his pain, because if I gave him anything mediocre, he would call me back and say, I don't want this, give me something strong. One day I get a call from my ex saying that her dad died. When they took him to the hospital, they found out that the heart attack, he had a stroke, and it was a marijuana induced heart attack. And she blamed me for it. And obviously I started blaming myself for it. And when I went to therapy is when my therapist told me that, hey, certain things happen for a reason. You know what I mean? And there's no way I could be blaming myself. And I had to look into it. And one of the ways I felt like I can get over this and not blame myself, which I still do to a certain degree, you know, because I was the one that gave him that, to put it out in a song and tell the world that, hey, this is what I did, so I can hold myself accountable. So you can hold me accountable. You can say, hey, look, MILI SOCH did these things, but I am not that guy today. You know what I mean?
No, I think that's a very strong message. And you know what? You can say as much as you want to God that you've shown me a certain way, and I'm not the guy that I was yesterday, and I'm proud of the guy I am today. But there has to be an inner voice. Something has to come from the inside of you to tell you that you need to do something about you if you don't like where you are at that point. For all those people, maybe somebody 10 years younger to you as well who's going through a similar situation. And honestly, nobody at the age 15 or 16 or 17 is really happy with where they are. And because we tend to attach more of ourselves with the sad things going on in our life. It could even be the burden of your education. It's like, oh my God, I remember when I was grade 10, I wanted to end my life at some point. I was like, oh, I just can't study, it's too hard. So I want to ask you a question for all those people or young kids that are going through this. If you have a younger brother in them, what would be that one piece of advice you would tell them if they haven't found their calling the way you did, and you can exit out your bad energies through your music? If that's not their calling, what can they do to sort of be somebody that they're proud about?
You know, as human beings, we all love to put blame on the outside. You know what I mean? Instead of taking responsibility. This is just it's just part of human thought process when it comes to the ego. You know, this is my understanding, and this is what I understood recently. We need to start taking responsibility if you want change. You know, when I was a kid, when I did this, yo, tune ye kiya, usne ye kiya. You know what my mom used to say? Yo, look at all these three fingers pointing back at you. Tab mujhe samajh mein nahi aaya ye kya tha. You know? Now I get it. No matter what happens outside and you feel a certain way, point it back at yourself. What can I change? You know? Everybody might be in a situation where somebody else caused them something. You know, for the longest time, I placed the blame on my parents for my life experiences, but they chose the cards that God gave them. You know, I look at it like a poker thing, right? Like, they chose to play it a certain way. I can't blame them for that. It's just that I have this attachment that's my mom and my dad. Instead of looking at it from the outside, that they were just human beings who got, you know what I mean? Now I have that understanding. So anybody else going through anything, start meditating. Start looking within. It doesn't matter what religion you follow. You know what? Recently, science has proven the simple fact that we all release endorphins when we pray. It doesn't matter if it's a Muslim guy, Hindu guy. When you do it from your heart, apne dil se, from the inside, really, you know, you release endorphins. That will give you the guidance. You know, everybody agrees. Upar wala ek hai. You know what I mean? We all, as human collective, despite of different religions, despite of some people might have a different thought about someone else. You know what I mean? Look at similarities. The world has made us think in a way to always look at the differences. You know, wo ye hai, ye wo hai, main ye hu. You get what I'm saying? I'm done with that, bro. I'm done with that. You know what I mean? Because this is what society puts on us. They want us to act like this. Whether it's school, sometimes your parents don't even know that they're doing this to you. I'm done. I'm going to look at similarities. We are human beings. Everybody, please look at that. Look at yourself. You feel something, you feel down, you feel hurt, you feel pain, take it out on exercise. Go, hit the pavement, run. When you run, it makes it easier. When you do cardio, it makes it easier. Start off with cardio. I promise you. Do some cardio. And you got to keep at it. Keep doing it. And you'll see, despite the physical pain, every time you push through the threshold, listen to motivational stuff when you're doing it. Every time it hurts and you still keep going, it's a reminder to your mind, yo, despite the physical pain you're inflicting upon yourself, you still keep pushing through it. What happens? You just realized, yo, you went from this place to this place. In your mind, you thought you couldn't do it, but you forced your body to do it, right? That tells yourself that, hey, your internal self starts having a dialogue with you saying, physically, you put injury. That's what working out is, right? We put injury upon ourselves to get stronger. You know what I mean? So physically, if you can do that to yourself, your internal brain starts telling you, tere andar hai, tere andar taakat hai, taakat. You know what I mean? No matter what it is out there, you will get clarity. Yes, grieving is part of the process. There are days you're going to cry. I would never say this before. You know, the things I have done, the things I talk about in my music, I have literally cried over it. It caused me so much pain that I still suffer from it. That's why I have this depression. That's why I suffer from anxiety. You know what I mean? I hope I answered that question. Sorry.
No, and no, you did, and I think, first of all, obviously, thanks a lot for being very open about your life and things that maybe are very private to you, and I think also, especially the advice you gave about working out and just cardio. I think I'm going to take it personally because I do have a few pounds to lose, so I'm gonna definitely act on that. Now let's talk about something more fun. Let's talk about your music. I know you have a new album coming up, Johari Window. I do have a few favorite songs in that album as well. I just can't wait for it to come out. I want to ask you, tell us a little bit about this new album that you have coming out. How special is this album to you? How long it took for you to create this masterpiece?
This album is the most personal I have gotten yet. Like I mentioned before, compared to my first album, I felt like I was chasing something. I was chasing a sound. I wasn't too sure who I was as an artist. And I felt like I was trying to do a proof of concept, even to myself. Yo, ho sakta hai, ye dekho. You know what I mean? That was my entire intention. This time around, I wanted to do something what music did to me. Music gave me clarity. It made me purge. Times when I had so much pain in me, it helped me cry. And not necessarily just hip hop, even. It could be any music. And that's the commonality again that humans have. That we connect with music. So my true intention this time around was to talk about me, talk about my story, whether even it made me feel vulnerable, it made me feel embarrassed, but to put myself out there, even if I could help, honestly, just one person, like how your music helped me. My true intention of doing this was that. And again, the album itself came from a place of therapy, and hence dysfunctional family. I'm talking about my family. DIT6, I'm talking about me being from Toronto and the different elements, like how I have Pakistani friends. My manager is Bangladeshi, so I'm talking about different elements here. And Johari Window itself, it was actually something I came across when I was trying to find for some type of help, just like art therapy. When I came across Johari Window, what it was, it's 4 elements that all human beings, right, we have within us. One of the things is, so these 4 elements are one thing I know about me that, for example, Sabby, you don't know about me, okay? The second thing is something you know about me that I also know about me. The third thing, something you know about me that I still haven't figured out until you tell me that, yo, tu aisa hai yaar. And I have to take responsibility and be like, tu sahi bol raha hai yaar, tu. I am like this, I have to change myself. The fourth thing is something you don't know, neither do I. But only when we push ourselves that we find out. For example, if you're running, for example, if you can only do 10 minutes because you're amateur, but if you prep yourself and put the right headphones on and blah, 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 and, get the actual motivation you need, take a little pre-workout, you know what I mean? Because that forces you to run. So now when you hit 20 minutes, that's something you didn't know about yourself. And now you found out you could. So these 4 elements help me identify the pain within me and how to understand myself better in order to understand other people better. So we can have a symbiotic, mutual respect relationship, and that's how the album actually started. And this is the first time I'm so proud of myself to say that I did everything with purpose. Any word I said was with purpose.
No, and I can definitely hear it in your words, in your music. Absolutely, you must be very proud of yourself. And I must tell you, you're going to inspire so many people So many people, uh, a lot of people just like yourself as well, people that are like, in between the whole Western and the Eastern culture. They're like, whether I'm more Indian, I'm more Western, where do I fit in? And I think you've given a lot of these people, a hope that you don't have to be completely Western or completely Eastern. You can be a mix of it because, there's people like you and I that would understand whether you do Hindi, English, or a mix of it. So, you know, you're gonna inspire so many people in future. I want to ask you one question, which is what is the bigger dream? Where do you want all this music that you're making? Is it just going to be you wanting to release your negative energy and putting it out there so that you can do justice to your soul? Or there's a bigger dream that you want to be one day you want to be the biggest Desi hip hop artist? What is the bigger dream here?
The bigger dream is the biggest dream of it all is to inspire as many people as I can and to have a cultural impact. Before, when I first started off, even with the last album, I was chasing fame, I was chasing money, I was chasing views, I was chasing followers. You know, um, now I want to have true cultural impact, 100% cultural impact. Like, for example, after releasing Dysfunctional Family, I had kids hitting me up saying, bro, you're talking about my life story. My dad did this to me. Some next kid messaging me from Toronto, Desi kid, saying, I lost my dad at this age. And it felt like I went through the similar things. Bro, no one can put value on these things. It emotionally, it gets me because this was my true purpose. This is my true purpose. This is why I did it. And to even hear, like these handful of kids who have seen it and they felt something from it is why I do it. I want to have, I want to inspire, I want to have true cultural impact. As you said, we are Desis, but we're Canadian Desis. We have a unique perspective on things. You know what I mean? Based on how we grew up. Again, Canada's not so populated, but the land is so massive. There's small things like that that actually makes a difference in one's life. Every small element makes a difference, and I'm proud. I'm really proud that I'm from Toronto, where there's multiculturalism, where I can go to a Afghan restaurant, I can go to a Pakistani restaurant, you know. It's yeah, oh, bro, I love Ethiopian food. I love Ethiopian food. I love injeras.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I actually had one just 2 days ago, and that's why I brought it up. But I think that's what makes you very unique as well. That you're embracing who you actually are, and you can hear that in your sound as well. That you're not trying to be someone, you are releasing out who you really are, and you're talking to everybody who's just like you as well. So thank you for staying honest to your craft as well. We're gonna do a little rapid fire round now. Now this is the most interesting part of this interview, where I'm gonna ask you some rapid fire questions. This round is called Sneaky Sabby. This is where I ask you some sneaky questions and you have to give me 100% honest answers, because इस शो पे आप सच बोलेंगे, सच के सिवा कुछ नहीं बोलेंगे, although आपने सच से भी बहुत कुछ ऊपर बोला है, which we are thankful about. So you ready? Yes. All right, let's start. I'm going to ask you some quick rapid fire questions. The first one is, if you were not a rapper, what would you be doing right now?
I think I would be doing something in chemistry, just because my dad was an analytical chemist, and I knew I could rely on him. Obviously, before they got divorced, when it came to my dyslexic trying to stop me.
Very interesting. Who is MILI Soch's celebrity crush?
Celebrity crush. It's who it is. It's I'm just forgetting her name, but I'm trying to get it. So last name Sen. What's her name? Konkana Sen. That's my celebrity crush.
Interesting. Okay. If somebody wants to get your special attention, what should they do?
Do a crazy TikTok video to one of my songs and send it to me.
It's a good idea. Okay. What's your biggest pet peeve?
When people are not themselves.
Do you do something that annoys people around you?
I'm not sure. Again, this is why I made an album called Johari Window. If I do things that annoy you, please let me know. And so I can change, if it's harming people especially.
Interesting. What is MILI Soch most afraid of?
I am most afraid of God.
do you sing in the shower? And if you do, are you singing your own songs or someone else's songs?
If I'm singing in the shower, it's usually not my songs. Uh, it's someone else's songs. Yes.
What kind of songs do you sing? Do you like, again, some desi rap sort of stuff, or Bollywood, old school? What do you?
Mostly Bollywood stuff I grew up on. 90s, late 90s, early 2000s stuff.
Interesting. Wasn't that an amazing time when there was all these Bollywood, not the Bollywood movie songs, but there was a lot of pop. There was a Bollywood pop culture that just died out because Bollywood sort of consumed all of it. So
Right.
So okay, last question: who would you like to collaborate with at this point? Like any one artist that you really want to collaborate with?
Um, the one artist would be Bohemia. I would really want to collaborate with Bohemia based on how he inspired me to even like have this vision to actually pursue this. Number two, I actually met Bohemia before. When he was in Toronto, I was the one that got him some smoke. So Bohemia, if you remember, I was the only one to get it to you.
Yeah, and I think it'll be amazing, absolutely wonderful to see a collaboration between both of you, because I think that music will be impeccable. It'll be amazing. I want to ask you a question now. What would you like to be remembered about you? What's the legacy it is that you want to leave before you leave this earth?
Authenticity. Anything I said, hold me accountable to. So I want to be remembered for the person who was authentic in this music industry, in this entertainment industry, that never changed and kept it 100% all the way, regardless whether it's giving me any kind of career success or not. I'm going to stay true to my intentions. I'm going to stay true to my motive, and people can hold me accountable for it.
It's awesome. That's a wonderful message. Thank you for just being you, not just in your music, but also, talking to us. You talked about some stuff that I think was very private and personal to you. So thank you. For all those people that want to follow you, that want to hear your music, can you tell us where can these people find you on the interweb?
MILISOCH.com. You can catch me on Instagram at MILI SOCH, MILISOCH. Hit me up on YouTube. Spotify is out there in India now. Stream my stuff. Stream it on Apple. Johari Window, November 20th. Dysfunctional Family just dropped. Everything about all the pain I've spoken about growing up. And Demons also dropped earlier.
Amazing. Before we let you go, one last thing. Any message you'd like to give to your fans and our audience? Any message you'd like to give to all the people that's watching this episode right now?
My message to anybody and everybody, whether my fans, not my fans, whether it's Sabby's fans, or you just came across this on the internet, on YouTube. Be authentic. Be yourself. No one else can be you. You don't have to pretend. Whatever you are is who you can be, and try to live up to your full potential and try being the higher self every time, your best version of yourself. Yes, some days I'm not the best version of myself, but I try my best. I look at those days and see where I can fix myself, where I can tweak my personality, where it's harming somebody else. So please be authentic, be yourself. That's the best gift. I promise you it's not going to be easy. It's the best gift you can give yourself. Far from brahmachari, need a chori feeling horny. Saath mein shanti smoking bhaji, jaise shakahari. Word is bond ka lambhari. Write this beat, tempo lori. Write my wrongs in these songs. Punchline yele mara mari. I switch up alfaz. Sharir hai talab, 70% water. Mere flows hai aag, volcano underwater. Intentions mere saaf. Fuck my rishtedar, agar unko hai etraz. Yo, listen. Safed bal don't mean wisdom. Aaj tak never wrong intuition. Aunties gossiping in the kitchen. Chup chop when I walk in. Two-face sop, noggin. Never trust a hater. Magarmach ke aasu alligator. Zindagi se minus calculator. So, I'm back in my incubator. Bye, hater. See you later. Tata.
Arre, don't go anywhere. Keep watching more of the SabbyBG Show by clicking on these videos right here. Before you leave, may I humbly request you to hit that subscribe wala button and hit that bell so you don't miss a single episode of India's #1 Vox Pop show from abroad, your favorite, the SabbyBG Show. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video, and remember, I love you.